I have played in plenty of Pokemon Draft League since coming back to the game in 2023, but this is going to be our biggest challenge yet. We have shown our ability across many formats, Scarlet and Violet, ORAS, low tier, you name it, but we have never had the opportunity to play in an Uber's Draft League. As someone who's very vocal about the powerful Pokemon in Scarlet and Violet needing to be banned, this league is going to challenge a lot of the ways that I think about Pokemon. If you are watching this channel for the first time and haven't subscribed yet, make sure to hit that subscribe button. We do a lot of competitive Pokemon content on this channel, primarily focused around competitive Draft League and showcasing the older generations and top level gameplay this community has to offer. If you have never watched an Uber's Draft League before, here's a quick rundown of how we draft the Ubers. We split the Ubers into 4 categories based on power level: Platinum, Gold, Silver, and Bronze. If you draft a Platinum Uber, that is the only Uber you are able to have access to on your draft. This includes Pokemon such as Groudon and Mewtwo, the format's most powerful Ubers. Gold tier allows you to draft the Bronze Uber onto your team as well, including powerful Pokemon like Rayquaza and Ho-Oh. Silver tier allows you to draft either as another Silver or a Bronze, which is where we see fan favorites such as Giratina and Pokemon like Dragapult and Xianpao, which are sometimes allowed in standard Scarlet and Violet draft leagues. The rest of the rules are generally the same, with Terra being done as free Terra with type preview, meaning that the captains we select can Terra into any type we want in battle, but we must disclose that type with our opponent before the battle starts. Given this being an Uber's League, we're going to see many powerful Terra captains with Pokemon like Ogerpon Wellspring and Zarude being able to Terra. When approaching this draft, there are 2 key things we really need to keep in mind. The most important is maximizing the value we get from our Uber. What is going to be so much better than the rest of our team, we need to make sure that it can be enabled to do well in every game this season. For example, if we draft a Pokemon like Palkia, our next biggest priority would be to draft counterplay to defensive fairy types, enabling our Palkia to be as effective as possible. Terra captains go a long way towards accomplishing this goal. Given the ability to Terra into any type, we can generally have an offensive threat to break these Pokemon. The other is to be able to answer the majority of the other Ubers defensively. This means our team is going to look a little bit more disjointed than you would expect in a conventional Scarlet and Violet draft. Let's take a Pokemon like Florges for example, somehow a common talking point on this channel the last couple of weeks. Typically, this Pokemon would be viewed as a very average choice for a defensive fairy, not being able to leverage a lot of its resistances on its physical side due to its 78 HP and 68 defense stats. Given the power of Ubers, being able to actually live the special attacking hits consistently is an important trait, even though it is unable to leverage its resistances to common physical attacking types like fighting. Our edge in this draft is going to be through identifying these Pokemon, giving us positive matchups into as many of the Ubers on the board as possible. Our draft starts at the 5th pick, a welcome change of pace after getting 16th in BBR. This left us with an interesting choice: go for a Platinum Uber, meaning we only have access to 1 Uber all season, or go for a Gold Uber, risking that a good Silver or Bronze Uber will make it back to me in round 2. Given that there were 18 players in this draft, it was a pretty high risk to bank on a good Silver or Bronze Uber coming back, meaning that we were likely better off going for the final Platinum Pokemon on the board, Lunala. This was one of my top choices coming into the draft, mainly due to its wide variety of options offensively. Ghost is one of the best types offensively in Draft League, only punished by Dark and Normal types, which can often be accounted for by the same Pokemon. You can expect a wide variety of powerful offensive setup sets from Lunala this season, taking advantage of the Shadow Shield ability to provide multi-skill like protection, akin to setup Pokemon that you see in Draft League like Dragonite. Calm Mind, Agility, and even Power Up with Meteor Beam, Lunala will always have plenty of sets that can threaten as a win condition each week. Now that we have our Uber, it's time to go over the #1 rule of Pokemon Draft League: never pass on Greninja. I've used this Pokemon in many leagues already on this channel, and as a creature of habit, I couldn't pass on it in this league either. Many of the Ubers are going to be around 80 to 100 speed, which makes it one of the most important speed tiers in this format. However, there are still 8 to 10 other Pokemon on the team, meaning that we still need to prioritize that typical high speed option. Greninja being around 2 pick, even in Ubers, is no surprise because of this reason. Between Protean and Battlebond, you have access to 2 modes of play that are extremely effective with a powerful 122 speed stat. We ran plenty of Battle Bond Greninja and JJDL, and you'd expect to see the same this season, cleaning up after Lunala and our Terra Captain punched through the majority of our opponent's team. Speaking of Terra Captains, the Terra Captain is going to be a very key part of everyone's team this season, as good Terra Captains will often be ways for teams to check opposing Uber Pokemon. My choice to fulfill this role is King Gambit, one of the best physical attackers in all of Paldea decks. Despite recent trends in the metagame, King Gambit has often been considered one of the best Terra Captains in Scarlet and Violet, and for a good reason. Terra makes this Pokemon a difficult customer to contend with, as we showed in the BBR Summer Scramble despite missing brackets. Removing the Steel Dark typing, which weak to fighting one of the Draft League's best typings right now, makes it difficult to build teams that can consistently beat this Pokemon without taking plenty of damage first through Sucker Punch. The key to King Gambit's success in BBL is going to be its bulk, allowing us to leverage its Terra as a way to check Ubers offensively, creating very difficult turns with access to Sword Stance and flexible typing. Our discussion on Florges at the start was a little bit of foreshadowing as we pick it up here with our next pick. Of all the Pokemon you probably would have expected to be on both my FBL and BBL teams, Florges is probably not going to be at the top of your list. As much as I try to justify in that league, in BBL, Florges is going to be even better. Many of the powerful Ubers are special attacking dragon types, making it perfect for a Pokemon like Florges to be used to take them on. Don't sleep on its 110 special attack as well, as offensive sets can be used to great effect because of this. And of course, we're using the blue one. With Lunala's Shadow Shield ability, we want to make sure that we have access to hazard removal to not force us into a position to run heavy duty boots every week. I'm usually very outspoken on hazard removal not being required in Scarlet and Violet draft, but it felt reckless to not get a good rapid spinner on this draft. So I went with another favorite in terms of spinners in Blastoise. The ability to threaten Shell Smash as an offensive threat makes this Pokemon one of my favorite rapid spinners, as its rolling gains can be difficult to pinpoint, allowing for favorable rapid spin turns as players account for Shell Smash in their build and play. As we round out our team, our next priority is a Pokemon that can consistently break Dark and Normal types. While better known for apparently making every early game run and bun fight free, Infernape is going to fit perfectly onto our team for that role. Abusing status is a key way that a lot of teams are able to fight the Ubers in this metagame, which Infernape is able to do very well with Will-O-Wisp and its 108 speed stat, outspeeding almost every relevant Uber. Like Greninja, Infernape is also good at playing a diverse set of roles with a great set of options in setup with Sword Zanes and Nasty Plot, as well as Stealth Rocks and Slack Off, giving it flexibility to operate in a more defensive and hazard setting role. Without getting too specific, Bronzong joins the team to answer some of the key Ubers defensively. Currently under investigation for crimes of clicking Hypnosis too many times, Bronzong hopefully joins a better situation than BBR Season 7 on this team, as it a way to answer some of the key physical Ubers while maintaining some flexibility in our Stealth Rockers, allowing King Gambit and Infernape to operate in their traditional offensive roles. Is it convenient that I take to Dunsparce while having drafted one of the best Ghost type Pokemon in the entire metagame? Who's to say? Status spam, as I mentioned with Infernape, is very key in Ubers, as one of the best way to neutralize these Ubers is to utilize status. Glare is one of the best options for this, as a 100% accurate paralyzing move will neutralize any fast Uber that tries to get in our way to victory. As you can probably start to tell over the last couple of picks, we are generally just drafting as many defensive options as we can. That continues with Houndstone, giving us another fantastic way to lock up physical offense. This is where the disjointed nature of the team really starts to come into play, as our goal with our defensive Pokemon is to prioritize beating the set of Uber Pokemon rather than the metagame at large. Houndstone is a great way to neutralize many of the threatening fighting types in this format as well, while providing a reliable spin blocker in matchups where we don't want to risk our Lunala to keep up entry hazard. Continuing to finalize some checklist roles, we have Mudstale, giving us access to a ground type. This helps deter offensive electric types, forcing U-turn to be used over Volt Switch, while also generally being a good defensive Pokemon with the stamina ability. We had a few points left, and while our plan earlier on in the draft was to get Terra Diplin, which was unfortunately taken by Seabad, we end up getting Swallow with our final pick. Will this scare people into not bringing Toxic Spikes because of our grounded poison? Probably not, but Toxic Spikes isn't a real threat anyway. This might seem some niche use as a fairy check, but as with most 2-pointers, I would not be expecting to see this Pokemon on the battlefield very often. And that is our full team for the BBL. Our schedule this season features plenty of familiar faces and some new players that we haven't played before on this channel. The main part of our schedule to look out for is the end of the season, where we play against Vepsis, Joey, and OG Albina to end our season. Bepsis and Owen have knocked us out in playoffs in the last 2 draft leagues that we played, and Joey has proven to be a competitive force in the community, winning almost every league he's played in. So what do you think of our team for this edition of the BBL? What Uber would you have taken if you were playing in an Uber's league? Let me know in the comments down below. If you made it this far, make sure to subscribe as well for more content on competitive draft league. We'll see you all next week for our first battle against Amel.